Hi, welcome back to another episode of SEO on Air. I'm your host Aaron, and today we have Brenton Thomas, the founder of Twibi. We talk about 5 secrets to optimizing Google response ads, how to drive high revenue from digital marketing campaigns, and how generative AI influenced SEO and online marketing. I hope you enjoyed this episode. How long have you been in the digital marketing field?
Oh, it's been almost 8 years. Yeah, maybe 7.5 years in the digital marketing space, and and I think the reason, just tying it back to sports, the reason I don't miss sports is because I found something that I enjoy more, right?
Right.
And I think if I were struggling to find myself, then I would kind of reminisce on sports. But yeah, it's been a fun journey, transitioning away from sports into marketing.
In your time doing digital marketing these past 7, 8 years, what were some of the biggest kind of changes that you saw happening in the field?
Oh yeah. So I would say in the ad buying platforms, especially Google Ads, there's definitely a lot more kind of like automation that's happening. So they have all these like under the recommendation settings, it's like upgrade your conversions. It's like check boxes. Come out with like performance max campaigns. So it's basically all the Google properties all combined in one to basically put more control into like the machine learning than the human. Or even like responsive ads. It's just like 15 headlines, 4 descriptions to mix and match. And in the past, I would have been like, 10 different ads to basically make that one ad. So definitely less weight put on the humans' decisions and more weight put on the machine learning.
And I mean, we can probably talk about this more into detail later, but when it comes to machine learning and AI tools, and let's say getting this kind of work done, Google responsive ads and just ads in general, how much would you rely on these AI tools to kind of get the work done at that satisfactory level?
To some extent, Google forces you to rely on them, right? So like they remove expanded text ads, which is human ads, right? So you write exactly what's going to pop up. Like you get the 3 headlines, 2 descriptions, and they just took those away altogether. So you kind of have to rely on the machine learning, and to some extent. But I had done a test. I compared a bunch of expanded text ads versus like one responsive ad, right? Because multiple expanded text ads can basically need to be combined to create one responsive text ad. Or responsive search ad, sorry. And the responsive search ad definitely performed way better, conversion rate wise, click through rate, all the above. So I'm not opposed to relying on it. I'm a fan to a certain extent.
We kind of, let's say I'm Master Mario. My brother Luigi has his own plumbing company that he runs by himself, but he kind of helps other plumbers kind of get their needs done. I've invested quite a bit. We kind of have a good revenue year on year. We want to increase our products and kind of get more sales and bring in more, like you said, lead generation, right? So if we start off with that context, if I come to you and say, hey, I would like to start with Google response ads, um, one, what would be your, let's say, strategy to kind of help it work? And are there some tips and tricks you could share along the way?
Yeah, so that happens a decent amount where you're already running ads and you want like to bring me and my agency in to basically improve the performance. And so you're probably already running responsive ads because they were sunsetted a while back, like earlier this year maybe. Um, and so basically the best place to start would be rewrite new ads and then find new keywords, right? So that's like the core of everything, right? It's like, well, at what point does the ad show up, and then what are you showing people when the ad does show up? So that would be the starting point, and then from there, really looking at like what are you optimizing towards. And so I've seen amazing results with um, optimizing for target ROAS, right? So that's a target return on your spend. And so, and even when I speak to like the Google reps, they always say use target ROAS. I've seen it personally work really well. But in order to do that, you have to assign a value to each of your lead types. So if a phone call is worth $50 to you, you have to set that in Google Ads. If a form submission is worth $100, you need to set those amounts and then you can start to optimize towards that return on dollars.
Okay. And if I'm doing everything, let's say from the context of what you've told me, what would be some common mistakes you might see me make?
I would say the biggest mistake is not letting enough time pass. Like, so if you make a decision in an
Right.
ad account and then you switch it 3 days later and then you're like, oh, that's not the result I wanted. And you switch it again another 3 days later and you keep doing that. Then you gave none of your decisions time to mature.
All right, because I think that's a mistake I pretty much made the past week itself. We tried to run a few ads and then we kind of changed our targets in between. And then we saw the results slowly go down. We were like, wait, what happened? I thought we were doing good. To kind of overcome these challenges, one would be to do your research heavily into what keywords you're using. Another one would be to kind of let it roast for a while. Is there any kind of major tip as additional to that where we would be like, okay, cool, now we've covered the basics?
Because I have two different strategies basically for Facebook versus like a Google Ads.
Right.
For
So,
Google Ads, I've noticed that, and this is just me, maybe it's just me personally, but I can never get remarketing to work at a really, really high level. It just doesn't add a lot of value to the ad account for whatever reason.
right.
And that remarketing tends to be maybe your brand campaign. Like maybe that's where people who know you, maybe that's why brand works really well and remarketing doesn't, because I always have a brand campaign. But then inside of Facebook, I'll always do remarketing and I'll build out a full funnel, right? So like top of funnel, I'll usually optimize for sessions. I just want to get a lot of people to, the website at a cheap cost, and then retarget you. And then you're now in middle of funnel. And then I'll try to get you into like the consideration phase. So maybe try to get you to join a webinar or join the mailing list or something like that. And then at the very bottom of the funnel, then I'll optimize for conversion.
So some of these questions might be a bit back and forth, and I have to kind of keep track because I might be confusing you a bit as well. But when we talk about ads and digital ads and kind of how to optimize them in the best way, would you say content marketing would be a good competitor for those who don't really want to spend money on ads, let's say,
Oh, like SEO?
like SEO?
Yeah, yeah. So me and my team, we're doing a ton of content, and it is AI, blog posts, content marketing, and it's working. Like we can definitely see in Google Search Console, it's on its way up. The impressions look amazing, clicks look amazing. Everything is just on a linear line, and it looks like a mountainside inside of Google Search Console, like the chart.
But
Yeah, but those clicks, we're tracking which percent of those clicks now reach out to us and become clients of ours, right? But you have to become a lead first, and so we're not seeing that yet. And so there's just a lot of pieces that have to come together, right? So it's like first you have to create the content. Okay, now the content's starting to the content's starting to rank. Okay, now you need to optimize the content, maybe add more words to it. Okay, now you need to do conversion rate optimization and now add maybe more CTAs to get people to the right places to become a lead. So it's a long process. If you have the patience for it, I would definitely pick SEO over all of paid ads. But you need to wait at least 6 months to a year.
and I think that's how it kind of goes. If you do want SEO to work out, you got to wait that much time. But if you want the more quicker, immediate results, you got to spend the big bucks. Um, is there a
Yeah.
situation where you can, let's say you can pick one over the other based on the industry that you're in? Or is it always good to have kind of like a mix of both?
I would say if you have time, I would always pick SEO regardless of industry over paid ads. Most clients that we work with, they don't really have time. They need immediate results.
Right.
But I would say SEO is especially good for lead generation. Like I'd really pick that in particular. Because like revenue, like driving revenue, there's not as many like touch points, for the person to convert, right? So they make it to a product page. Then they, add something, to cart, they check out, purchase, right? On lead generation, there's probably multiple stakeholders that need to get involved. You need to show the right information at the right time. You need to get them on a call. Did they convert? What was the lead quality? So SEO, I would definitely say is better for lead generation in particular.
So in the instance of, let's say, this plumbing agency where I'm trying to help out my brother Luigi, would you advise him to kind of take up let's say, more paid advertising if he doesn't have a team for, let's say, in-house?
Yeah, I would say take up paid advertising if you need to see the results within like 2 months. Even
Right.
that takes a little time, right? Because like the machine learning has to optimize inside of like Google Ads. And by the on a side note, I always do Google Ads for lead generation. Facebook tends to not be as good. But if you need, if you have the patience for at least 1 month of like trying to optimize, and then going into your second month, you start to see results, and you're okay with that, then I'll tell Luigi, definitely do paid ads.
How do I create a proper funnel, and how do I optimize it to ensure that I'm getting more success than fail?
Yeah. Um, so like I was saying, in Facebook, you could definitely create like a really effective funnel. But I don't run Facebook for lead generation. I usually use Google Ads. And so based on that, one funnel that I would test, this doesn't always work, but definitely have your non-brand campaigns. Got to have those. Always do that. Always have your brand campaign. I always do that. But then the third part is, for the next part of your funnel is do like a past 60-day all website visitor remarketing audience. And it's in its own campaign. I've gotten super granular with my remarketing, right? So I've done like, I've done past 60-day all website visitors, past 60-day, looked at just the landing page, past 60-day, became a MQL, past 60-day became an SAL. And all those audiences past all website visitors, they usually don't turn on because my clients weren't large enough to have enough people in those parts of the funnel. Right. So at this point, I just focus on all website visitor remarketing.
So if we notice someone is kind of moving away from the funnel at some point, how exactly can we, let's say, change it up in a way to kind of keep them there? Is it, let's say, I wouldn't want to say secret sauce, but is it kind of like a step-by-step strategy that could probably make sure that we are converting as many people as we can?
You know, I would say definitely leave it up to the algorithm. So just make sure you're optimizing towards the right thing. I think the algorithm is a lot better than at this point. I would say maybe in the last like year and a half or so. I think the algorithm has gotten what I perceive to be better at finding the right person and bringing them back if they ever search for the target keyword again. So just make sure you're optimizing for the right thing, and then make sure you have the right values on what each conversion type is worth, and then make sure your conversion tracking is set up correctly. And then give it space to do its thing. Really back off, give it 2 weeks. It's painful sometimes when the performance doesn't look good,
right?
But give it its space to breathe, and that's about as best you can do.
Would it be possible to, let's say, at the start of the month, kind of put down what my goals would be for my Google Ads spending, and just let it run for the entire month without really doing much checking? Basically, can I just automate this in a way where I don't have to check as much as I have to?
Okay, so you write your goals down, right? And let's say for every $1 you spend, you want $2 back, right? So that's a 200% return on ad spend. And then let's say you set all your values to your conversions. You check your conversion tracking. Everything looks good. Let's see what I was going to say. 200% return. Okay. So then what I would do is then go into the ad account and then set that 200% return. So the goals you had written down, take those and then put them into each of your campaigns that you want to apply that to. And then let that run for a couple weeks. And if it can't reach your goal, it's going to start to taper out, right?
Right.
And so there is a setting where it can adjust the target ROAS for you. So maybe it raises it to 150% target ROAS or something like that. But while it's doing that, you can search for additional keywords. You can move some budgets around across your different campaigns. You can add negative keywords. So right. It's almost kind of like the algorithms do, like handling this part of it, of the strategy. And then you're over here like handling all these other things. And then hopefully the two of you together are working well to reach your goal.
Yeah, like the goals are kind of working on its own, and you are just kind of tweaking the changes here and there to make sure it can continue moving. The gears are all in cognition.
And another thing is, I would even say, while that's this is something that I personally do all the time, but while that's running, and I'm giving it 2 weeks to do its thing, I'm working on the backup plan, right? So just in case it doesn't work, and then usually the backup plan is dynamic search ads, right? So that's a different campaign type. It's half AI written ads and then half human ads. And then Google will pick the landing page. And then if that doesn't work, and I'm working on the next backup plan, and that's Performance Max, which I usually try to get Performance Max into the ad account right away, but it's pretty labor intensive.
Right.
So sometimes I usually have the client create all the videos and images. So usually it takes some time for that to be developed, but it's a great plan for, to introduce into your build out.
Throughout this entire endeavor, are there any tools that you are using that can probably help you out, or is it just all good old experience?
So, of course, the keyword planner, right? So you get your seed keywords. I talk to the client, and I'll introduce that into the keyword planner, and it'll spit out more keywords. Most of it is experience. I'm trying to think if there's any other resource. I think that, you just really have to get in there and just make some mistakes.
Right. I mean, you're not going to learn much if you're not making those mistakes.
Yeah. And in the very beginning of my career, I've definitely, I turned some campaigns on and check the next morning, like spent $400, and you're like, oh man, what? So that was a long time ago.
I think that could lead to the next question, which is, what are some of the, let's say, horror stories that you've had while kind of doing digital marketing and ads, at least?
Yeah. So it tends to be around money, right? So this is like 6 years ago, and I was working on a new campaign, and I couldn't finish it that day. So I just put like in the ad copy test, placeholder, etc. And I was going to come back the next day and fill it out. And so come back 24 hours later, and I see it had spent like $400, and I'm just like, oh my God. And
Right.
And the click-through rate was like extremely high, because everyone's like, what is this test? It just said
Right.
placeholder and test everywhere. And so the click-through rate was like 40%. And I'm like, I wish my real ads could get.
Yeah. Where is this kind of reactive when we actually need it?
Yeah. So that's one. And then I guess another one, just this is common, but client might say, we need to spend this amount, and for whatever reason you overspend a little bit. That's not the worst thing to ever happen.
Yeah. Speaking of the first incident, was it kind of easy to navigate the situation afterwards, or was it just hellfire from your managers?
This is when I was working in corporate before I started my own agency, and this corporation, I think they're doing, I want to say like 60 million a year, and so $400 wasn't terrible to them.
Yeah.
So my manager was okay. But if it was a smaller business, I think they would definitely have a lot to say.
When we are talking about, let's say, Google Ads, a bit of SEO here and there, in what all fields can, let's say, AI come in and help us out? And I'm not talking about, let's say, the algorithm side of it, like tools that we have to kind of input that will probably help us out with these fields.
Yeah. So we're definitely using it for blog posts. I've used it to give me like outlines for presentations. So when I go speak in different places around the world, so I'll definitely use that. Just give me like an outline, and I have to do a lot of editing to it though, to make it my own. Email marketing, definitely use it to write some emails. I've used it to write ads before, Google ads in particular, and also a little bit of Facebook ads as well. And then
the content creation side of things, right?
Yeah, mainly content creation. I've used it for keyword research for SEO, but it was using inaccurate information. I would double check the difficulty score and the search volume, and then I look in SEMrush, and it's like way off. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's not the best for that. Right. But mostly for content.
Like at least some AI developer or someone who's using AI in some way or another.
Yeah, because if you think about like the billionaires of today, like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, they got into the internet tech boom in the very beginning, right? And like Elon Musk had like a payment system, and that I think it was bought by like PayPal or something like that, and then that gave him like the momentum to become who he is today. And so I think AI is going to create the next Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and a bunch of billionaires.
Would you say that you have some experience with AI, or is it mainly restricted to the 3-4 months you've been using ChatGPT?
Yeah, it's been restricted to the last 3 months, but we've been using it a ton. We have like 5 accounts for ChatGPT, in particular for our blog writing. I'm in it every day. So definitely like picking up a lot of understanding, and then writing lots of prompts. And one big secret that I would say with prompt writing is when you ask ChatGPT to do something, let's say you wanted to write an outline for something, don't just start with like write the outline. Start with
Right.
describing who is ChatGPT, what company do you work for, then maybe do another message like describe the writing style you want, and then finally get into what you want it to do, and you'll get a better result.
Do you feel there is, let's say, something that you can say to our viewers and listeners to kind of get them into AI, but not in a fearful way where they feel like it might take their job?
Oh, well,
Some
I
words
would
of
say,
wisdom.
yeah, I would say, and I'll use me and my team as an example. So the way my team is broken out is, I tend to do all the client work. So, one person, I think we have like 15 clients right now. So I'm working a lot. And then the other side of the team is the content team. And so we have, one person who's extremely skilled, and he manages, 3 people under him, or actually, 4 people, right? So it's 5 people over there. And so that content team, they used to hand, like human write or type, blog posts, right? 2,000 words, fully SEO'd, keyword insertion, good transition words. It would fulfill the readability in Yoast, etc. And so that whole process of writing plus the editing would take about 10 hours. And now we got it down to, we can do a blog post with AI in about 1 hour now. So we can do 10 times as many blog posts in the time it takes to do one. And it's fully SEO, like keyword insertion, like that involves proofreading. We have multiple editors. By the time you add in the extra editors, maybe it's an hour and a half for the whole process, but still it's times 7, right? So that'd be my encouragement for anyone listening. It's a massive reduction of time, and you can take that extra time and put it into other things, whether you're in corporate or entrepreneur.
I just want to add on to that. With that extra time, you can also probably work on, let's say, cleaning up what you already have. So
Mm.
if, like you said, you do have to edit what you get from Chat GPT, you do have that extra time now to kind of add in your experience, add in a bit of fluff if you need to. You don't have to break your head for the next 3, 4 hours to kind of come up with something. You have that backbone already there.
Yeah,
Um,
and for us, we'll read through it. And so I help too with some of the blog posts. I don't do most of them, but I'll jump in sometimes. And so what I'll do is I'll find like better images, right? Like we use stock images. Maybe I'll take I'll take a snapshot of the dashboard. That's something I wouldn't have done before because I'm so stuck on the words, right? So the time can go into making it better overall.
yeah, it helps you kind of be more efficient that way, do more with your time. But now, could
Yeah.
you also give words of advice to, let's say, potential clients who might feel that if you give me AI content, it's not going to work on Google?
What I would say to that, so if you're a client and I'm speaking to you, I would say, and we sometimes use AI for writing, but not always. But let's say you're the client. I would say, we used AI to write some of your headlines, but we did half AI, half human, right? So it's all combined into the 15 headlines for a responsive search ad for Google, for example. And then that'll give us the opportunity to test out, does human writing versus AI writing work best? And on top of that, you're going to review it with us to make sure it aligns with the nuances of the business. And then after we're done reviewing it, usually they like what they see. We also like, cause we had a dialogue about it. We talked about it, and usually by the time we're done, it's like, there's only like 20% AI left, right? Cause they tweaked it. I tweaked
Right.
it. And so there's not that much AI, but it's a really good starting point for just about anything.
So at least when you do hand it over to the client, it doesn't come across as fully done by AI. So even if they are,
Exactly.
let's say, a bit ignorant and say, hey, listen, even though it's 20% AI, Google is not going to like it. You can still tell them that, hey, 80% of it is human, which Google will definitely enjoy. And when they
Yeah,
get the
definitely.
results, you'll be able to prove that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the AI, if you were to accept it the way it is, like you don't make any changes before showing it to the client, it feels flat, it just feels like it's
Right.
kind of missing the mark. in its simplest form, it does speak to the business, but it's just missing personality. And so for us, there's like no way we would just give the flat version. So a lot of changes are done.
So thanks for the chat, Brenton. It was great.
Sounds good.
Thanks for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed. For more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe.